Hey guys, Eric here from Homebrew. Today I'm going to be painting the collar on my fermentation chamber, and I figured it was a good time to show you exactly how we put it together. Coming up next. So the model of the fridge is the New Air 1200B. We did a review on the fridge a while back. It's a great fridge. It's been sitting in my garage and runs flawlessly, and that's through the summer heat and the winter freezing temperatures in great Midwest Indiana. And since I already have a beer fridge specifically for beer and wine and drinks and stuff, initially I figured I would turn this into a fermentation chamber and actually be able to ferment the beer inside the fridge, maybe putting a heating jacket or some sort of heating, and we can actually temperature control our fermentation. So when we first put it together, we weren't very sure how big of a collar we would need, so we started to test fit some of our fermenters inside. And unfortunately, there's a box for all of the compressor and all the cooling, which really doesn't allow to fit much. So in thinking on how we did our chest freezer and turned it into a keezer, we used that same mentality to extend the lid or the door of this refrigerator, allowing us to actually put a fermenter on the bottom part in front of the hump. This also allows us to drill holes through the wood and not the side of the fridge in case we ever want to revert back to just putting it as a fridge again. So we built a collar out of 2x6s, put them all together, smacked it on there, added the door, and it actually seemed to work very well. I've gotten a heat mat from Amazon. I'll link that in the description below. And I use that to heat the fermentation chamber. I didn't want to put in a space heater because the heat in a space heater blows in a very concentrated area, potentially overshoots the heat because it's just constantly running and the beer is not changing as fast as the atmosphere of the temperature chamber. But using that same collar keezer mentality, all we're doing is doing pocket holes to attach the 4 pieces of the 2x6 together and making that a frame, and then we're going to use pocket holes just to drill it right to the fridge itself, and then we're essentially going to attach the door to the wood instead of the fridge. One thing I will say about the New Air 1200B is that it comes with a lock on the bottom. Since we moved the door out and mounted it to the wood, it doesn't actually force close itself anymore. There's a little bit of a bind and it wants to open a little bit. And I'm sure it's just because of the way the door sits. I'm sure it can be adjusted, but since there's a lock on there, it's a real easy fix just to throw the latch and have it shut that way instead of messing with the angle of the door and whatnot. The first thing, if you're starting with a new fridge, the first thing you're going to want to do is actually remove the door if you're able to. With this New Air version, it's very easy because we've got 4 screws here and 4 screws on the bottom. Once you get that door removed, we're going to apply our gasketing material, which is this black kind of ribbed gasket. This is what the screws will essentially go through and actually pull the wood tight to the gasketing and just start flattening it out and give it a really good seal around the wood to the fridge. So the first thing we're going to do now that you essentially have your gasketing put on there is we're going to tilt the fridge back to make this a little bit easier. So we can line everything up. Now with it tilted back, we're going to take our wood collar, lay it down on top. Like I was saying earlier, this gasketing here should be compressed pretty good. That'll give you a really good seal without that mess of either caulking or silicone, what a lot of other people tend to use. This makes it so clean and so easy. So the last thing we need to do is put the door on. Since I had already had this mounted previously, I've already got the bottom mount on there. So we're gonna slide the door. And this guy gets put right on top. Pretty much voided the warranty anyways, right? There she is. Last thing I gotta do is put this black cover on. Make it look super blacked out, all black fridge. So for temperature controller, we just use the Inkbird controller. We'll leave a link to the review on the controller in the description below. And all we do to hook up to the temperature controller is plug the fridge itself into the cooling part. And like I had mentioned earlier, we use the heat mat, which I just leave inside. And the heat mat typically gets attached to the fermenter, just using some of these elastic cords. We just wrap it around the fermenter, and it holds it right next to the fermenter pretty well. And then the heat mat just plugs into the heat side of the temperature controller. Then we have a little hole at the top here for our temperature probe on our controller. And then the temperature controller itself gets plugged into the wall back there. All right guys, that was a quick overview of the fermentation chamber that we use and how we took a mini fridge, added a collar to it, extended it out so we were able to put our fermenter inside. If you thought this video is useful and you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to leave a comment below. Tell us what you're looking for. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for the next notification on the next video we do. And we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.